Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, March the 18th. We're here to look at new releases that were published this week. And every day of the week, we look at a different genre. On Mondays, we look at cozy mysteries. On Tuesdays, like today, we look at the darker side of crime fiction and thrillers. On Wednesdays, we look at romance. Thursday is fantasy and science fiction. Friday is Freeform Friday, and we usually do some catch up of the things we didn't get to throughout the week, or things that caught my attention that don't necessarily fall in those categories. Quick announcements: I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. I do sprints every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. The ones on Saturday are for 5 hours. Good morning, Mary. Happy Tuesday. Sunshiny here in Virginia and still a little breezy. Off to beating later this morning. Fantastic. My schedule has been too busy. Well, that is fantastic. I sent you a instant message on Facebook. Don't know if you saw that. Did you see yesterday's Thunder Horse Descendant? Some changes are happening. Well, let us jump in. The first one I have purchased. It is the second in the Martini Club series. If you like Killers of a Certain Age, this is in the same vein. This is called The Summer Guests by Tess Gerritsen, big name in mysteries. When former spy Maggie Bird retired to the seaside hamlet of Purity, Maine, she settled in for a quiet life with breathtaking views. But enemies from her past soon threatened to destroy everything. Maggie survived thanks to her wits and the collective intelligence of the Martini Club, the circle of ex-CIA friends in her cocktail-sipping book club. Their handiwork, however, caught the attention of young police chief Joe Thibodeau. Now Joe and her neighborhood ex-spies have an uneasy alliance. After a teenager vanishes and Maggie's neighbor becomes the prime suspect, she joins the investigation, determined to prove her friend's innocence. But the girl's wealthy family pushes for an arrest, and when authorities discover a long-dead corpse in a nearby pond, the case becomes doubly complicated with unthinkable ties to long-buried secrets. As Joe grapples with two unexplained mysteries, the Martini Club races to uncover the truth behind shadowy secrets before more lives are lost. I did like that first one. My Sister's Shadow by January Gilchrist. Watched late last night. I missed it earlier. Is full of changes, shocked and saddened, since it must mean something big went down. Yep. All I know is Shannon isn't there and she did something wrong. Marie, thanks for the heads up. You betcha. Also, there's a box heading your way. Should get there sometime next week. A mirror will never show you the truth. Okay. England, 1904. Mirror twins Adelaide and Victoria have spent their lives in orbit of each other, doomed to be in the other's shadow. Their lives are intertwined and inextricable as each other's identical inverse. Adelaide is dutiful and reserved, happy to remain in her childhood home, Harewood Hall, forever. Victoria wishes for a thrilling life, exploring the world and finding a great romance, but the twins cannot live apart. Visiting Lord Stanley bewitches Victoria and his talk of a life of luxury in New York, but it is obedient Adelaide whom he marries against her will and to Victoria's fury. Together they all move to New York and begin a new life. Adelaide finds herself trapped in a gilded cage on Fifth Avenue with no one but her angry and tempestuous twin for company. Amid the glamour of the upper class, Adelaide is captivated by the independent and educated women of the elite social circle, Mrs. Astor's 400. As Adelaide's star rises, tensions begin to surface between the sisters, and as Adelaide grows apart from her twin for the very first time, Victoria descends into a rage-fueled darkness that threatens everything and anyone standing in her way. Sounds very gothic-y if you're in the mood for gothic-y or want to bookmark it for a different time. Usually fall's more of a gothic feeling to me. There you go, Tuja. I have an having early Christmas these days. Thanks so much. Well, I don't need them. I'm not doing that anymore. And the people I used to bead with don't do that kind of beading. They are seed bead peoples. And I just want them to go to somebody who will use them, appreciate them. And Kim says, good morning. The Secrets of Good People by Boo Walker and Peggy Scheinberg, with Penny Scheinberg. Interesting. On a tiny island off Paradiso, Florida in 1970, neighbors gathered to toast two new arrivals, shy Catherine and her taciturn husband, Dr. Frank Overbrook, who is taking over an old friend's medical practice. It's an intimate welcoming for the newlyweds who have abandoned city life for swaying palms and an ocean breeze. But the morning after is anything but peaceful when Frank is found dead in the beach. Detective Quentin Jones has his eyes on the island's residents and the welcome party's guest list. There's the retiring doctor and host, as well as his nurse. Volatile marrieds Miriam and her husband David constantly at each other's throat. The Carters, a strangely antisocial young couple, and Sylvie, a blind sculptor to whom Quentin lost his heart years ago. But which one is a murderer? As the investigation unravels a close-knit group of friends, secrets are exposed, and more than one of them is worth killing for. I suppose, being set in 1970, they're considering this a historical. Chloe by Connie Briscoe. Mary says, good morning, Kim. Hope you're doing well today. I always love Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. What a great first name. Indeed. My 9th grade teacher, Mr. Matlock, I think was his name, always joked about Boo Radley. Like he had a band, Boo Radley and the Nocturnal Nine or something like that. This was the early 80s. A mansion haunted by the ghost of a cool, charismatic first wife, a second bride from a small southern town who may be in over her head, a brooding billionaire who grows icier the more his new wife questions him about the past. Sounds like Rebecca to me. In Connie Briscoe's propulsive and entertaining novel, the elements of one of the most famous Gothic novels of all time is reimagined, stolen, in surprising yet still suspenseful ways. I hate that. Angel is a private chef for the Harrisons, one of the most powerful black families on Martha's Vineyard. Impossibly supercilious Jillian Harrison often spends the entire summer on the island, while her husband Irvin and their 29-year-old daughter Norma commute from Washington, D.C. on weekends. They always join Jillian for the month of August when the family throws a lavish garden party on the expansive lawn that is attended by nearly 100 guests. This year's guests include Everett Bruce, an influential black billionaire still in mourning for his first wife, Chloe, who committed suicide. To the imperious Jillian's surprise, Bruce ignores her and instead becomes enchanted with Angel. Eager to get away from the controlling Mrs. Harrison, Angel accepts Everett's invitation to become the private chef to Riverwild, his massive mansion along the Potomac River. His meals and company provide comfort probably to Everett, and soon he and Angel begin a whirlwind romance that culminates in marriage. Though Angel is confident and strong, over time she begins to feel the enigmatic drinking game. Chloe's ghost. The house's staff, the head housekeeper Ida, a menacing, rigid thorn in Angel's side, and even Everett cannot seem to let the dead woman go, nor explain why the wealthy, stunning woman would kill herself. The more questions Angel asks, the more melancholic Everett becomes, revealing a far less charming side of himself. Just how well does Angel know Everett? Did she marry in haste? The answers lie somewhere in Riverwild. That is a complete steal of Rebecca. And it's even called Chloe. Hate that. End of row 1. That's going to bug me all day. It's an homage. No, it's not. It's stealing. Get your own plot. Marie likes the cover of Chloe. Yes, it's a nice cover. Kim says, I'm okay. Friends from church are coming over this afternoon. Husband is going to help me list some things on eBay. I have models of my uncles I'm going to try and sell. Oh, very nice. This is also Tuesday lunch day, isn't it? Friends Helping Friends by Patrick Hoffman. Bunny Simpson grew up poor in Grand Junction, Colorado. Now, it's a guy, Bunny. Now in his 20s, working in Denver, he has simple dreams. He wants to help his uncle pay rent, save a little money, maybe start a business one day. His best friend, Jerry LeClaire, fantasizes about moving to California. The problem is they don't have any prospects. Enter Helen McCullough, an attorney with an axe to grind against her ex-husband who happens to be a judge in the local court. She offers the boys a deal. Scare the man, rough him up a little, and she'll give them a few $1,000s. It's simple, just friends helping friends, right? Part crime novel, part portrait of friendship, extremism, and inherited trauma. Celebrated novelist, blah, blah, blah. And this is Burbage. Huh. Well, we're going downhill here, folks. Let's start going back uphill. Killer Potential by Hannah Deitch. Destined for greatness, wanted for murder. A scholarship kid with straight A's and big dreams, Evie Gordon always thought she was special, that she'd be someone. But after graduating from an elite university, she finds herself drowning in debt and working as an SAT tutor for the super rich of Los Angeles. Everything changes one Sunday when she arrives for her weekly lesson at the Victor's Beverly Hills estate and, in lieu of a bored teenager, finds the bloody remains of the parents strewn through their beautiful back garden and a woman crying for help within a closet. As Evie works to free her, the two are spotted, and within moments they go from bystanders to suspects to fugitives. Suddenly at the heart of a manhunt and accompanied by a mysterious woman who refuses to speak, Evie knows the only way to clear her name is to find the real killer, or stay on scene. But first she'll have to break down the barriers of her companion, who is quickly becoming the most important person in Evie's upside-down life. Their breathless spree takes them across the U.S. as developments in the case shock the nation, and the press runs wild with Evie's story, a gifted kid turned killer. She's now on the cover of every magazine and newspaper, anointed the new Charles Manson, a bloodthirsty 99% are looking to start a class war. Evie is finally someone. We didn't go uphill again. We started going downhill again. Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Could be me. Mary asks, how is Steve coming along this week? I hope he continues to improve and doesn't have any pain. He is recovering surprisingly well. It's only been like a month, and he's only has his brace for when he needs it, Tylenol when he needs it. He probably sometimes overdoes it, but surprisingly well. Thank you. Kim, unfortunately, not this week. I'm struggling. Oh, no. Mary says, sorry to hear that, Kim. Hope things improve for you for sure. Yes. Mary, wow, I thought that cover definitely had Manson vibes for some reason. Then you read that. Yep, you picked up on that. Nothing Bad Happens Here by Rachel Ekstrom Courage. The carefree New England vacation is just what 16-year-old Lucia needs to chase her sadness away, at least according to her mom, who whisked them away for the summer with her ridiculously wealthy new boyfriend. Nothing bad happens in Nantucket, a charming island with cobblestone streets and million-dollar cottages. But when Lucia stumbles upon the body of a teenage girl on a beach, the discovery reopens old wounds from her past. With the dead girl's identity a mystery, Lucia takes it upon herself to investigate and crosses paths with Sela and her pack of devil-may-care besties. The three girls are beautiful, chaotic, and a little wild, and they help Lucia forget her crushing sense of grief and loneliness. But as Lucia becomes a part of the shimmering world, she begins to suspect that there are dark secrets hidden in this quiet enclave, and that uncovering them may be the key to solving the dead girl's murder. Not everything on this island is what it seems. Serial Killer Support Group by Saratoga Schaefer. When Sarah Griffin's younger sister is murdered by a serial killer, Sarah knows better than to expect justice from the hands of the police department. With the investigation already dying its own slow death, Sarah could be Kira, follows the blood trail and finds her own way forward. Using insider information, don't ask, Sarah infiltrates a support group for serial killers by pretending to be one herself in the hopes of finding the person who ended her sister's life. Proving herself to them comes at a cost, but it's one Sarah is willing to pay in the name of revenge. What the? But the dangerous men in the group aren't the only obstacle in Sarah's path for vengeance, and the further Sarah descends into the deadly world of serial killers, the harder it becomes to hold on to her own humanity. I have so many issues with this. We're not having a great day. What's up? End of that row. I gotta say, I'm probably looking forward to the romance stuff tomorrow. The Bane Witch. That's a pretty cover too. By Ava Morgan. Pierce Corbin has always had an affinity for poisonous things, plants, and men. From the pokeweed berries she consumed at age 5 that led to the accidental death of a stranger, to the husband whose dark proclivities have become concerning, poison has been at the heart of her story. But when she fakes her own death in an attempt to escape her volatile marriage and goes to stay with her estranged great aunt in the mountains, she realizes her predilection is more than a hunger, it's a birthright. Pierce comes from a long line of poison eaters, bane witches, women who ingest deadly plants and use their magic to rid the world of evil men. Pierce sets out to earn her place in her family's gritty but distinguished legacy, all while working at her Aunt Myrtle's cafe and perpetuating a flirtation with the local well-meaning sheriff to allay his suspicions on the body count she's leaving in her wake. But soon she catches the attention of someone else, a serial killer operating in the area. Hey. Hey, bitch, get your own corner. But that only means one thing. It's time to feed. Ew. Oh, this is the darker side. I always say it's the darker side, but holy moly. I am not tempted by any of these except for the test carrots that I already have. Dirty Little War by Dietrich Cultice. Mary says, good news about Steve. So glad. Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. Kim, payday is 2 weeks away. Mary, know what you mean, Kim. March has been fast, but in some aspects, not fast enough. Yes, indeed. Mary, wow, that sounds pretty yucky. Yeah. We better have a big dress and half-naked, dark-haired men tomorrow, exactly, to make up for these non-starters. There's a support for that. Dirty Little War. It's 1920 and the start of Prohibition. Circumstances beyond his control find a young man, Huckabee Waller, involved in the death of a gangster in his hometown of New Orleans. Fearing repercussions from the gangster's associates, Huck hops a northbound freight and heads for the promise of Chicago. Expecting to make an honest living, he's surprised to find that he's arrived at the epicenter of crime, corruption, and commerce. Unable to find legitimate work, he gets mixed up in bare-knuckle fights run by the notorious North Side Gang. Reviving his skills as a club fighter, Huck quickly becomes a crowd favorite and makes enough to get by. When it becomes apparent to him that the gang is so heavily involved in running illegal whiskey, a very profitable enterprise, he's drawn into their world by the desire for more. Moving on. Legacy of Lies by Lou Paper. As we approach the 50th anniversary of Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance on that sultry afternoon in July 1975, Lou Paper has crafted a fast-paced historical thriller which raises new questions about the reasons for the abduction. The book commences with a startling premise. What if a private investigator had been hired to trail Hoffa in that summer of 1975 and saw him get in a car with 3 other men, all of whom the investigator knew from his prior experience with the FBI? Would that investigator report what he knew to the FBI when he later learned Hoffa had been abducted, knowing the mafia's practice of eliminating witnesses to its crimes? Sam Silver, the former FBI agent, is that investigator, but he is reluctant to contact the FBI. His only child, a high school student, just lost his mother and Silver's wife to cancer, and Sam cannot bear the thought of leaving his son without a parent. Wow. Speaking of history, supposedly today's the day they're going to release the JFK, all the JFK files. That will be interesting. We're going to jump to the end and end on a hopefully fun note. The Writer by James Patterson and J.D. Barker. NYPD Detective Declan Shaw gets a call. How fast can you get to the Beresford building on Central Park West? In the tower apartment, Shaw finds a woman waiting for him. She's covered in blood. A body is lying dead on the floor of the luxurious living room. Every book in the apartment's floor-to-ceiling shelves is by the same author, best-selling true crime writer Denise Morrow. This is you? Shaw asked the woman. Are you a writer? Only one person knows the ending to the story. Is it the victim or the killer? Yeah. Thank you, James Patterson. We needed a little tongue-in-cheek fun. The other two that we haven't gotten to is The Second Son by P.T. Duderman, set in 1945, thriller. A provocative question. Did Japan test an atomic weapon, and did America know about it in advance of its own decision to drop 2 nuclear bombs? There's the cover I forgot to click on. Interesting. And The Haunting of Room 904 by Erica T. Worth. Olivia Becente was never supposed to have the gift. The ability to commune with the dead was the specialty of her sister Naish. But when Naish dies unexpectedly and under strange circumstances, somehow Olivia suddenly cannot stop seeing and hearing from spirits, etc. All right. Well, wasn't that interesting? Kim says, hoping I can get some stuff sold. Oh, that will be helpful for sure. I can't remember so many books that had absolutely no appeal for me. And in fact, such a negative reaction to them. Like, yuck. Yeah. All right. Let's look forward to romance tomorrow. Oof. Well, hope you guys have a good Tuesday. Hang in there. We do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. Come hang out. I'm sending you guys so much love. You guys are in my heart. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day, and God bless you.